All right. Thank you very much, everyone. The university community, the media, and all protocols duly observed. I welcome you all to this year's press brief by the SRC. I would encourage every one of you to settle and then listen to what the SRC president has for us tonight. So without much ado, I would like to invite to the podium the SRC president. Then he gives us what he has for us. Thank you very much.
Emmanuel, thank you. Hello, good evening. My name is Franco Usu. I'm the KNUST SRC president. And even before I begin my conversation with you this evening, I would like to state emphatically that this press briefing is actually not a state of the SRC address. So there wouldn't be a long monologue or conversation from my part, but then it's going to be a conversation between myself and the press representing the views, the hopes and aspirations of students of KNUST. On 24th of August last year, you elected me as your SRC president, and we have worked together as a team. And I believe it's very important that we render account to you on what we have done so far. So today, I deem it relevant and important to come stand in front of you, present myself to you, and subject myself to you for scrutiny. So today I have with me the press of the University of Science and Technology. I believe these are competent individuals, and they have what it takes to ask the questions that have been on your mind and that have been bothering for so long a time. One thing I want to state is that the press or journalism has always been the fourth estate of the realm. And without the press or the media, it would be extremely impossible for us to be able to communicate our ideas, our initiatives, our interventions, our programs, our projects to the good people who we are leading. Aside, the media serves as a connection between the leaders and the electorates or the people they are leading. So if we don't communicate through the media for our electorates to know, they will have no idea as to what we are doing. So this evening, I'm here presenting myself to the good students of KNUST to answer the questions on our minds and to clarify the doubts in our minds so that together we'll build a very good front. KNUST is the envy of many, and we have justified through the times that at a university, we are top there. And it's no wonder that this year, the Time Higher Education magazine actually ranked us as the first university in terms of quality education in the whole world. So as part of efforts to ensure that we solidify our stand in the world, today we are subjecting ourselves to scrutiny by the press. And I believe strongly that they will ask the questions that are burning on your heart. And together we will build a good front. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening. So at this time, I will entertain questions, contributions, and suggestions from the press present today. We have quite a number of the press houses present today, the media houses present today, and they are all poised to ask all the relevant questions. So respectfully, when a media house approaches, I will be very glad if the media houses, first and foremost, they introduce themselves to us. He or she will mention his name or her name, the media house they represent, and then we'll listen to their questions. So please, you can approach, the time is due.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, viewers. I am Hilda Sichofe Afuabobo, representative for the KNUST Notice Board. And there are quite a number of questions, but the most pressing ones that we have gone around to us and the students have asked us to present to you is the question on accommodation. It is becoming pressing with our current state. There's no money. The economy is bad. Parents are working overtime to keep us here in school. And now that we are in need of accommodations since the year is ended, the semester is ended. The people who are giving us the accommodations have increased prices drastically by over 500%, 200%. It is too much. And the students are asking, what are you doing to help us? We need the help. So what would you do to help us?
Okay, thank you very much, Hilda. I will entertain about a question or two and then I'll answer all of them together. So if somebody has another question, so let's hear from your friends too.
Very well then.
So another person has a question. So whoever is asking about accommodation, I will attend to it.
Okay. Good day, viewers. My name is Remains Rexford. I'm representing Crypto Media House. Okay, so Mr. Frank, most students here on campus have this perception that the money for SRC is powered up and you just tap in anytime you want. How would you say about that one too? And on your policy number 5, social, you stated something like skills hub and language classes, project work support fund, and on sports, you said revamp Pajo Stadium with floodlight and special incentives for sportsmen and sportswomen. Yeah, sure. And policy number 3 on security, you said something about light off campus, revamp the community watchdog. And on policy number 2 on health, you said BLS first aid training for every student and your rewrite policies. Yeah, thank you very much.
Was grateful. This is a mouthful of questions. Wow. It is basically like a recap of all my policies during my campaign period. I think he asked quite a number of questions, so I will add his question to that of Hilda, and I'll attempt to answer them. Hilda asked about the issue of accommodation. I've always said that if there is one thing that is an albatross around the necks of students in Kenya University, then it has to do with accommodation. Every single year, it is more of a cycle. And I remember it's one of the things that I decided to tackle when I came into office as SRC president. So those of you who are aware will agree with me that I went to the extent of even contacting the owners of the Otumfo Osetutu the second affordable housing facility at Asukarimampong, just to see whether it will be possible for us to migrate some of our students there, because the basic problem we realized with accommodation has to do with the issue of demand and supply, whereby the hotel owners are of the feel, of the conviction that they are the ones who built their hostels, they own it. And as such, nobody can tell them the price to price their hostels. Just like how in Ghana, you can have 2 houses, the same structure, the same size, the same stature. But then when one of the houses is located at East Legon and the other is located at Medina or any of these places, you realize that the same houses, the same structure, but the price will be astronomically different. That is the issue of accommodation in Kenya University. The fact that it is more of a juicy venture. Because of that, hostel owners always take the opportunity to exploit students. But this year, we didn't sit down aloof. You see, Kenya University, we have something called the COSAS platform, the Kenya University off-campus accommodation platform, whereby we have registered hostels on this particular platform. We've been encouraging students to book hostels through this particular platform. And the interesting thing is that this year, we've worked a lot about it. But then what happened is that we were there only to hear that Gas Hostel, they have increased their hostel prices. And I did the math myself. I realized some was 25%, others 27%. I think the highest was 31%, which is completely uncalled for. And you can have my word that I've had conversations with the stakeholders, and we're actually on the table trying to see whether we can beat down the price. Those who know me know that I'm one type who always wants to get solution. It's not about just going to Twitter to say that you don't agree and you insult. No, the point is that make sure you get solution whenever you agitate. So those who know are aware that we're on the table having conversations, just like how we're able to bring a reduction in the school fees, we will get something out of it. But then in the interim, what have we done? We've been able to have a meeting with all the hostel owners under the Kenya University off-campus platform. We have about 77 hostels. Those who know that platform can log onto it right now. You realize that the current prices they are bringing up, last year, the agreement was that no hostel under the off-campus hostel platform that is owned by Kenya University will hike their hostel price by more than 15%. So most of those hostels, it was within the range of 15%. This year, we've been able to beat the rate down to 8%. As a matter of fact, we have some hostels off campus that haven't increased their price. I can talk of Shalom. I can talk of Nevada Hostel. There are quite some number of hostels who have given us their word that they are not going to increase the prices of hostels. But you see, this is the conversation. Sometimes you cannot force students as to where to go. Currently, our biggest battle with these off-campus hostels is that we are trying to see whether we can get all of them under the umbrella of the COSAS. But because we're the one who built the hostels for them, it makes it quite difficult for us to be able to force them. So now we are advising students that if all of us will agree and start booking hostels through the COSAS platform, it will force those who are not on the COSAS platform to join us. But then you go and have conversations with them and they will tell you that those hostels whose prices are exorbitant are the ones that get full early. So a hostel is 10,000. You go there right now to go and find the hostel manager and he will tell you, oh, my hostel is already booked. It's full. They open their portal in less than 3 days, the hostel is full. So it becomes difficult fighting them. So I am taxing every student who has a price list of the hostel prices under the COSAS platform to see that the price of last year and the price of this year, none of those hostels have gone up by more than 8%. As a matter of fact, some have gone up by less than 8%. And let me also say this. As I stated earlier, the main problem with accommodation has to do with the issue of demand and supply. People are afraid that if they don't book hostels early, the hostels will get finished. But then the reality this year is that you can ask the registrar's office. KNUST is increasing at a reducing rate to ensure that we are able to have a lecturer-student ratio which is more appreciating. So those who are in final year, in real numbers, we are more than those who are in third year. And those who are in third year are more than those who are in second year. And those who are in second year are more than those who are in first year. And those of us who have been very much concerned about hostel price conversation will understand that last year, there are some hostels off campus which weren't full. So if all students will listen to the clarion call from the Src and Director of Student Affairs and the management and decide that we are all going for the hostels that are under the COSAS platform, believe you me, we wouldn't have the issue of students crying about exorbitant prices. As I stated earlier, if we're able to do this, it will force those who are not under this particular umbrella to join so that we can be able to regulate them. As we even speak, when the issue of Wi-Fi comes, I'll talk about the issue of off-campus Wi-Fi. And you understand that the off-campus Wi-Fi, in a way, will even be connected to the whole hostel conversation. We want to be able to regulate the off-campus hostels. But then the biggest problem is that the manager says you didn't give me money to build, so you can't determine my price. But we are still doing our best. And with the Brunei prices, the gas hostel, it is a work in progress. Just like I have always been doing. I always tell students that from Kousu, when the school fees came, I didn't shout, I didn't install before you realized we reduced it. When you were then, the Vodafone bundle or package was reduced before you realized it was brought back. Nobody knows how we did it. When we were told that students have been deferred, we went to have a conversation, and most students have now been reinstated. Less action, more talk. So wait for me, you will hear something concerning the accommodation issue. And with the issue of correcting media, Larry Menz mentioned that there is this general perception in the minds of students that the money is there and that you just dip your hands into it. I just want to say that this is a sad misconception in the minds of students. You see, the university is the highest level of academics. So everything that goes on here, the best practice is what we encourage. I just want to state that no student leader, I'm not just speaking for the Src, I'm speaking for the college president, I'm speaking for the faculty president, I'm speaking for the department president, and even the whole president. No student leader is allowed to spend without presenting a budget during the beginning of the semester. Point number one. Point number two, after presenting the budget, I want to state that in the whole student structure of the student leadership in Kenya University, the number one spending officer of the university is the vice chancellor. But then based on powers and all that, we have other directors and deans and provosts who are allowed to sign budget to a particular threshold. And that no student leader is allowed to sign check in the name of any student association. So as an SRC president, I don't sign check. No college president signs a check. But what we do is that we make a request. And when the request is sent, if it is the SRC, the Director of Student Affairs peruses the documents. If If it's a college, the provost peruses the document. If it's a faculty, the faculty dean peruses the document. So happens with hall wardens and hall masters of the various halls of residence. So we write a request. The request is scrutinized by all these heads. And when they realize it's good, it goes through some 7 stages. So the first stage, you write a request. The patron of the organization or the patron of the union approves the request. You come and attach invoices to it, 3 invoices to it. And then it goes to the account office for them to verify to see that all the invoices are okay. They send the invoice to the audit for audit to also confirm that it is consistent with the accounting standards and principles. And then they will bring it back to the account and say, okay, after perusing it, we think everything is fine. So you can go ahead and make payments. And then the accountants will then, after perusing it, write a check. And after they've written the check, they will bring the check to the patron in question. So in the case of the SRC, the one who signs our check, the Director of Student Affairs. So when they go through all those processes and they don't have any problem, it comes back to him to write the check before they release funds for the supplier of that particular activity in question. Students are not given money to spend. So if we are doing a program and then there's item 13, we present an invoice of a supplier and then the money is paid to that supplier. As I've always said, there are so many misconceptions in the system. That is why engagements like this is relevant. So it is not a straitjacket something. I'm not also saying that it is impossible for somebody to do his own thing. It's possible. But then these are the systems and the structures the school have been able to put in place to ensure that people just don't do anything they want to do. And then I also want to state that, you see, whenever we are campaigning, there are a lot of things that we say whenever we are campaigning. These are our hopes. These are our aspirations. These are the things we think we can be able to do when given the mandate. I mean, Larry Mens asked a lot of the policies, though, of course, looking at the time, I have not been able to do, and others of which I'm doing, others which maybe I've been able to start, but then somebody will come and continue. The summary I'm giving to all this is this. The community watchdog, I want to say, there is something that we are still doing. The off-campus security, something you can go to another Director of Student Affairs. Early last semester, I signed a check of 20,000 Ghana cedis for fuel for the vehicles that ply off-campus. So there are so many things that we do. The issue of lighting off-campus. We realized in our school fees, we paid an amount of 105 cedis for physical development, specifically for lighting. And you go to off-campus, some areas, we've been able to bring all these things. You see, I've always said that we are running an administration, not a PR firm. It's not every single thing that we do that we can be able to come and tell. Then, of course, we just say that we'll bring a camera into the SRC office, and then everything we do, we will put a camera on it. Yes, it's good for us to make accountability. That is why during the state of the SRC address, we come out and we render accounts to students. But having said all this, what I'm trying to say is this. You come and you are given a budget to spend. You come with your own vision. You come with your own agenda. But then you come to office to meet some problems, you don't even plan them. You haven't even planned for them. And those problems are so relevant to the extent that you can't say that because I have my own agenda, no matter how relevant the problem is, you're not going to attend to that particular problem. Then you're not being a sensitive leader. Let me give you a classical example. As I stand here today, the SRC, we've signed money to the tune of about 50,000 Ghana cedis to take care of 2 students who are undergoing surgery of various forms. One is a cancer issue, the other one is a kidney issue. You can confirm from the Director of Student Affairs, you can confirm from the accounts office. As I stand here, we initially budgeted for about 57,000 for food bank. Last week, we saw a communique going around that students should go and apply because they've opened the form for food bank, only for us to realize that 1,250 students want food. So we have to double the amount of money that we slated for food bank. I mean, when I was coming into office, I never knew that Gusa Games was coming so close. I came to realize that Gusa Game was here. And as the next SRC president, I couldn't sit down for my school not to perform. So we also contributed to ensuring that Gusa Game becomes a success. And now we're all happy because for the first time in the history of Kenya University, we're able to enter the medal zone. The point I'm trying to make is that the SRC, the amount of money we're having is fixed. You can only achieve to a particular extent. If you are not able to fulfill a particular dream, it's not as if the money is there and you don't want to use the money for that particular thing. One thing I want to assure students is that no matter the activity student leaders spend the money on, it is agreed. And sometimes we realize that the exigencies of the time requires that we apply it in that particular sense. That is why maybe we weren't able to achieve some of the things we stated we wanted to achieve. But I also want to state that sometimes we also come to office and we realize that some of the things we want to do, it is found within the bigger agenda of management. So if it's found within the bigger agenda of management, we look at management, please stop. You let us use our own money to do it. We don't do some things like that. I remember one of my policies for the Kenya University water. I preached it the first time when I was coming. As a matter of fact, we even went to the extent of producing water for students to see. The second time, it was high on my agenda. Only to come to office to realize that management also wants to do it. So can I go and tell the management, upon all the money you have, and upon looking at the coins we have, please stop and let's use our money to do it rather. We don't do that. So if management is doing it, we give them our support and our blessings. Who knows? Maybe they saw us campaigning, they saw us producing, they said, oh, this is a nice thing. I remember I told Ken when I was campaigning, and don't let anybody lie to you. These members of management are very active on social media. They all have social media handles. I remember I was very vocal. You can see my videos. My videos are still there. When I told management, I told students that you go to Valley View, they have BeLife. You go to University of Cape Coast, they have USplash. Why is it the university as Kenya University? You're looking at the apparatus we have. We have architecture department, we have com design, we have biochemistry, we have food science, we have packaging technology. Why can't you bring all these expertise together to build a brand of water? I don't know how and why it started when I came into office. But what I know is that I preached the message. And then in one way or the other, there was wisdom in what we preached. And management, they have been able to roll it out. Voila, blessings to the name of the Lord. So one thing I want to say is that we've been able to do some of the things you mentioned that we couldn't do. After we've been able to do them, but others weren't able to do it because maybe money and other conditions actually prevented us from being able to do them. So next question. So we'll wait for the next set of questions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, my first question, my name is Janice Opokuajima. I'm a representative from the Hub Media. My first question still has to do with the issue of accommodation. And in a greater part on your answer on the first question, you dwelt much on the hostels off campus. I also want to ask if there's a way that the SRC is negotiating with hostel managers on campus, because you realize there is competition among the hostels off campus to be of better service. But then on campus, it's not like that, because they know people will still come to them. People still want hostels on campus. So you realize some of the hostels on campus, they are in very bad shape. And then every year you have people from campus MPs, people from parliament coming about asking the issues going on there. And then nothing happens about it every single time that happens. So I want to know if there is a way you are going to ensure that the people on campus, they get served properly. I mean, if they are going to increase their hostel prices, then we might as well be paying for quality services. And then my second question has to do with shuttles, which is another issue that comes up every single year. Every single year we have issues on shuttles being fewer on campus. The situation off campus is very bad because there's a rush almost every time of shuttles. And then there have been issues where shuttle drivers have disrespected students. I want to know what the SRC is also doing about that. And then the third question is about your administration and communication gap between students. So I personally think there is a lot of opportunities for student improvement on Kenya University campus, but then the communication channel is not so clear. So, and then your administration to up until this point, I think there has been a wide gap between how you communicate properly with media houses. So is there a way that from now on you are going to ensure that there is constant, proper communication between the SRC and the media? My last question is on sustainability. your administration have started some great projects that I believe will be of benefit to the ordinary Care University students. I believe, and then sadly, your office will come to an end very soon. So what plans are you putting in place so that those policies that you've started will be continued by other administrations? Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. What program are you reading?
Media and communication.
You're actually in my college. I mean, the best college in Kenya. Thank you so much for the question. I will start from the shuttles. I mean, if there is one thing that has been a burden on my heart, it has to do with the conversation on shuttles. But you see, as a university, we always have to solve problems without creating more problems. I want to repeat, we always must have to solve problems without creating more problems. Now, as we speak, we have 4 of the camp, right? The ones that don't have a lot of seats in them. And then we have, I think, about 3 other lorries, 3 other buses. And we have the Src shuttle, we have the Grassa shuttle. I think we have about 10 shuttles on campus. Some go to Gaza, others to Buadi and all that. We have 10. Now, as an Src, what are we doing? You see, I've had this conversation a lot with the transport manager, with the vice chancellor actually. And I just want to state this because she said it. So I want to state that she promised that she's going to help us procure 3 additional shuttles to add to the ones that we have. But as a university, we've had conversation with the transport engineer and transport director. And the reality with Kenya University is this. If anyone will be honest, you realize that, 1, in terms of shuttles, if you come and stand in front of Hall 7, or you come and stand at KSB, around 7:50, 7:55, 8, there are a lot of people there, a very long queue waiting for shuttles to go to wherever they are going. The queue will be there by 8:05, 8:10, latest by 8:15, there will be no queue. 8:30, there is no queue. 9 o'clock, there is no queue. 9:05, there is no queue. It goes through to about 10 o'clock or maybe 9:50, and then there's another queue. We realize that in between 8:10 to 9:50, virtually all the shuttles move almost empty. I want you to follow me closely. All the shuttles move almost empty. And whether there are people in the shuttles or there are no people in the shuttle, they will still buy fuel. They will still service it every single day. So one of the concerns some of the senior members have raised is the fact that the attitude of students having to wait for it to get to about 5 minutes to time before they go for lectures. If we're not also careful, we will look at the mad rush between 8:55 to 9:10, and then we will bring 10 more shuttles. This is what will happen. If you be very honest, and if you are good at driving, realize that the nature of our roads is quite small. We don't have big roads in Kenya University. From commercial area between Hall 7 and then continue and about, the size of the road is not that big. If you have a lot of roads on that particular, if you have a lot of cars on that particular stretch, and if you're not careful, we will end up generating a lot of traffic on campus. Because even with the few cars we have right now, with the private car, the cars of lecturers, the cars of students, and with the small buses we have, sometimes you can see there is a possibility of you having traffic. If you're not careful and then we add, just imagine, I just want us to think through, add about 10, just because of the mad rush of 15 minutes, we will end up having issues. Actually, the transport engineers have been able to calculate the amount of lectures we have within every period and an amount of number of students who come. Honestly, if we are able to spread the time we go for lectures, there wouldn't even be a need for a call for more shuttles. But then all of us want to wait and go for class 5 minutes to time. Believe me, even if you bring 20 more shuttles, it wouldn't be sufficient. That is point number 1. But notwithstanding, we've been able to have some steps. So what is the long-term sustainable plan for this whole shuttle issue? There's a plan of the university to ensure that they link the route between Brunei and KSB. Because now it seems that the school is gradually moving to the KSB part of the school. We call that the research hills. Some people call it Dubai, but it's called the research hills of the school. So we have a gym complex, we have the postgraduate building of KSB, we have the social science building, we have the art faculty, we have the new engineering faculty there, we have the KEEP building, the KEEP and Rail, we have the regional water research, they are building the new central lab, the Rail Hub is there, so, and they are building another structure behind the art faculty. So the school has plans of ensuring we connect a route behind, so anybody who has been to Brunei, behind Brunei complex, close to where the recycling plant is, they're actually constructing a very big bridge. And when they are done, they will connect a road from that place to KSB. So when that happens, the volume of cars that passes through the Okodia roundabout and the Mecca Road, most of them wouldn't come. So we will reduce the number of vehicular movements in front of administration. That is why we don't even allow boats to come, because according to research, if we allow boats to be going to faculty area and all that, we have a lot of traffic. So what do we do now? You see, there are a lot of barricades preventing the movement of boats. So the grand plan of the school is that, yes, we are encouraging students to go for lectures early so that there wouldn't be a mad rush between 9:55, between 8:55 and maybe 9:10. But then for the mid and the long term, there will be a route constructed between Brunei and KSB. 2, you realize that they've been able to construct another road from KSB through Jinase. When they are done and then the road is start, the conversation is that we are hoping to divert some of the campus structure, the Nevada structure, and those Four Seasons structure that applies campus to also bring students through that particular end of the school. Because we realize the number of students who always enter through the UDSC gate. And because that is the prime gate of the school, everybody is coming there. So one of the visions is that when we finish that particular stretch of the school, we will encourage the vans to now bring students through that particular end. So the traffic we usually have at IUDSC wouldn't be there. Another one is the fact that we want more buses. There are also students who are now at the Ahinsan part of the school. That was one of their motivations. So there is a grand plan with transportation. That is why we have also built a shuttle there, because those who stay there will tell you that before we build in a particular structure, the only cars that could go to Ahinsan were the small cars because they don't have a place to turn. But when we are done with that particular shuttle stop and the VC brings in her 3 new shuttles, one, we will free up the vans to go to off campus. 2, we can have cars connecting from Brunei to KSB, reducing the vehicular movement on campus by about half. And 3, we can also have big shuttles going to Ahinsan to bring in people. So there are plans to solve the problem, but then there is a grander agenda and a bigger picture. Else, we will bring 15 shuttles to campus only for students to complain that there is traffic on campus. And anybody who sees us will say, this is not befitting of the #1 university in terms of quality education. So we understand you apply sometimes whenever, and personally, those who know me will tell you I like walking to class because I always tell my friends that I always want to feel part of the student body. I want people to still see me as a student, a 4th-year economic student who has been honored by the students of Kenya as the SRC president. So the point is that the shuttle issue is something that we have actually considered, but there are 3 solutions to it. 1, students should take the responsibility and go to class early so that we wouldn't have the mad rush between 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after the class period. 2, the issue of the roads on campus, the fact that we want to extend the entry points of the school so that we reduce the vehicular movement and the vehicular traffic. And 3, the promise of the Vice Chancellor to give us 3 more shuttles. You see, the point is that we operate with regulations. And in the school, let me tell you one thing. If I write a budget or I write a request as the president, and it's below 20,000, the Director of Student Affairs can't sign. If it is above 20,000, it goes to the Vice Chancellor for her to sign. If it is above 99,900, that is, if it is above 100,000, it has to go to Parliament. It has to go to Parliament for Parliament to approve. I think you have a fair idea as to how a bus will cost. So she has told me, but I'm not begrudging her as to why it's not in. It's possible it is still going through the procurement process. In Ghana, sometimes something can take about 6 months for it to be procured. Sometimes the SRC can organize a program and it will take months for you to maybe get the program you have organized because of the timing and all that. So that is the conversation. The conversation is that 3 new charters come in, let's go to class early and let's solve permanently the issue of road movement on campus. The issue of accommodation, you see, we've been having conversations around it. And let me let the big cat out of the bag. And the problem is that I spoke with a board chairman for Gas Hostel, a board chairman, Ghana University, Superannuation, something. I mean, all the university staff, Gas Hostel belongs to them. As a matter of fact, Gas Hostel does not belong to the university. It belongs to the staff of the university. It is their investment, and then they are recouping their money. I asked them why the hostel price has gone up by 26%. And then the answer they gave us was that you and I, our government, our president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as we speak, has brought a communique that from now onwards, university students, we should pay for our own utility prices, our own utility tariffs. So our light bills and our water bills, we are paying for them. Last year wasn't the case. The government was absorbing all the ones in the various universities. That's why you realize that the horse, as of last year, was 1,000 something. This year, it has jumped because we are being requested to pay. So this year, that is the fight we have. So it's not as if it's a simple thing. It's not as if they just increase the price and Francois is silent. So now you go and have a conversation with them and tell you, okay, we don't have a problem. If only you will force government to pay, we will also reduce it. So as it stands now, we are having conversations with the government to see how best the reduction can come. It is not something easy, but then we believe that we can do something about it. So the main reason is the utility tariffs, but we are still looking at the modality to see how best students will be helped. In actual sense, if you remove the utility tariffs from the increase, the real increase will not even more than 5% this year. And we are even trying to see that we will have a 0% increase, and when we are done, we can see what we can do about the utility tariff. So there's a growing conversation that we are having. If you have any idea, you can share with me, I'm fine. But as I said, we are on the table, we are still negotiating, just like how I've been able to do in times past. Less talk, but more action, and I'll bring the results. And then she mentioned about media engagement. You see, one of my biggest problems as an SRC president is what she rightly said. Here in University, we are increasing in leaps and bounds. In the sense, as president, you're also president of Obuasi, you are president of all the distance students. You're president of all these particular groups, and you have to be able to communicate to them. And what makes our situation quite dire is the fact that, in as much as we are president, we're also full-time students. And the school gives you no preferential treatment as being an SRC president. So you opening your tentacles and reaching out and communicating sometimes becomes difficult. And when we came into office, you can ask my public relations officer and my publicity head. We established a platform with all course reps. We established a platform. I think he has a platform with media personnel on board and all that. But you see, the responsibility of governance should not only lie on the shoulders of leaders. The problem that sometimes I feel with this part of our world is the fact that when we elect somebody as the leader, we leave everything into the hands of the leader. And nobody else takes responsibility. I remember one day I was not even on campus, and somebody tweeted that a security personnel is harassing somebody in front of University Hall. So what are you doing about it, Franco? So so there's a whole president, there's a whole vice president, there's a welfare, there's a commander, there's a whole master. You have bypassed all of them, and you are tweeting, asking what Franco is doing. The mindset is something that is not helping us. I'm just trying to link it in the sense that we have a platform. At the beginning stages, you realize that the course reps are very cooperative. But it gets to a point in time, they become so agenda-driven to the extent that even if you play something on the platform, they don't even mind you anymore. And it becomes sometimes difficult. Yes, we've done our best. We had a course reps training, class captains training, just to conscientize them on it. But I see you can force the horse to the riverside, but you cannot always force the horse to drink. We tried our best, and we are hoping that we will get to that point in time where the students of Kenya University will own the SRC. It's not for Franco Usu. I've always said, if I succeed and I leave office, I won't take my success with me. If I'm able to build anything or leave any legacy, posterity will come and enjoy. In similar fashion, if I make mistakes, posterity may suffer forever. So if we own it, and we succeed together, we all enjoy together. And when we make a mistake, we all suffer together. So yes, I admit there may be a gap. In as much as I accept my fault, I also want the media house to also understand that the responsibility of governance, the responsibility of leadership rests on our shoulders. Sometimes, you see, I have problem when there is breaking news and nobody pays a media house to break the news. No matter how bad it is, somebody has stabbed himself, somebody wants to die, it goes out freely. But then when the SRC is doing something wealthy, something good, something that will transform the lives of students, I don't want to go there, but I want you to think about it. That let's own it. Let's own it. Because, that's how I feel. Sometimes we see things on Twitter and we retweet it without anybody telling us anything. But then somebody feels that the SRC is them. So they have to come and do this before we retweet something that if a poor student somewhere sees and attends, it will change his life or her life. I don't know. It's a question for another day. But let's think about it. Sustainability, Janice, we are doing so many things to sustain it. As I speak right now, one of my problems as a president was the fact that I don't want to remind us of the past, but then I remember when I was handed over as Src president on 28th September last year, I was given an empty file. I had to build everything from the start. Nobody gave me orientation. Nobody took me anywhere. Of course, we knew what had happened. So, there was nothing to be given to Franco. So Franco had to build everything, the connection, the relationship from the scratch. I'm praying and hoping that we end well and that I transition well. And one thing I'm promising students of KNUST is that on the day of my handover, I will show you the dossier I'll give to students of KNUST. I'm having a conversation with my speaker to see whether we can be able to enact laws to protect some of our initiatives. I don't want to go and come back in 5 years' time only to hear that Think It Fund It is no more. I don't want to come back and hear that KNUST School of Leadership and Governance, one that I'm envisaged to be like the John F. Kennedy School of Leadership, I want it to stay so that we can groom more leaders. And I'm happy to say that after the SRC was able to launch it with the help of the Vice Chancellor, we've been able to do the second one. As it stands now, we have certified more than 250 leaders. And as a matter of fact, the university community as a whole this semester also organized an executive leadership for all lecturers on campus. You can ask your lecturers. I don't want to say that somebody copied it, but then if you do something and it's good, even professors see it and then they applaud it. So there are so many things we've been able to bring on board, the trail support scheme and our collaboration with the e-learning center, some of the things we are bringing on board. I will speak with the speaker and see whether we can be able to codify it and legalize it in a way that others will also mimic it in the future. But then I'm promising students that whoever wins on Wednesday, I will give the person quality and top-notch orientation. And I'll make sure I will leave for the person all the good things he or she needs to know in order for him or her to be able to continue on what we've been able to do so far. Thank you.
Right, so my name is Stephen Tay and I'm representing the hub. So my question is, we are in academic community and very good network is very important to an ordinary student of KNUST. And then here is the case every year, a Vodafone SIM is given to every student. And we have a very poor Vodafone network on campus. Let me use that one because that is given to the students. Mm-hmm. So what is the SRC doing about this poor network on campus?
Thank you. Please, your name once again?
Stephen Tay.
Okay, Steve, most grateful. I would like to receive about 2 other questions and then I'll add them.
Okay, I'm in the name of George Boidi, and I'm representing Src Media. Mr. President, I would like to ask you, when we were speaking about the KUSA, the hostels on KUSA platform, mm-hmm. Yes, you were saying we should rally and or try apply on the KUSA platform, mm-hmm. which is about 77 hostels. Mm-hmm. But then the truth is, the 77 hostels can't contain all of us. So you advising that, do you believe it's going to be, can this be, is this feasible?
Yes. well
My
noted.
number 2 question is, you talked about the fees decrement earlier on. Yeah, I want to ask and clarify how many percentage was decreased on the school fees. Third of all is, I remember during your time before power, you promised an off-campus kiosk for police to enhance security to the students. We later realized you didn't tackle that one, but rather established a bus stop at Ahinsan. I've had people who want me to question you that, can we define that as a misplaced priority? Another question is also that I want to ask about your policy where you promised about tabling a conversation towards securing the housing project at Aija. You remember clearly?
I remember.
Exactly. For for the hostels to be affordable for students. And up to now, we've not heard anything from your office. We want you to clarify us on that.
Sure.
Last of it is that there is a pharmacy at Indus Hall, and there are rumors that it is your conversation that's led to the establishment. And I want you to also clarify the school about that. Thank you very much.
Was grateful. Stephen Body, Nyansapo Media.
No, George Boyd.
George Body, sorry, George. George is trying to rope me into the conversation of politics of the day. Somebody is doing his politics. Let's also, but whichever way, it's fine. It's fine. They say David obtained the materials for the temple, but Solomon built the temple eventually. With the issue of pharmacy at in this hall, I just want to state that those who have followed my campaign for 2 years will always agree with me that I was so vocal and emphatic on the fact that we will get a pharmacy on campus. We had a lot of conversations. When I came into office, it was one of the earliest conversations I had. And I even have with me the proposal I wrote to companies. And I have pictures on my laptop. Maybe when I'm done, I'll give it to the publicity head for him to maybe share it on Twitter for you to see the conversations we had. You see, if you're having a conversation, okay, with somebody to get something done, the conversation you're having with that person doesn't also prevent other people from having their own conversation. I want you to listen to me carefully. If you're having conversations with people, it doesn't also prevent other individuals from having their own personal conversations. One thing I can state emphatically is that the proposal was written by us. We visited places, we spoke to individuals, we brought companies on board, we spoke to the Vice Chancellor about it, we spoke to the Director of Student Affairs about it, we spoke to all the relevant individuals about it to get the pharmacy done. I don't know who has also done as well, but one thing I can state is that the current SRC played a very significant role in getting the pharmacy on campus. But I'm not also saying that I'm downplaying the effort of any other person. Maybe when I left the office, another person came and also had his own conversation. That's fine. I mean, it's possible for us to collaborate and get something done. But what I'm saying, as an SRC president, it is our efforts that brought about the pharmacy. Others might have also played a role. I can't talk to that. But then one thing I can say is that we played a significant role in getting the pharmacy at Independence Hall. And having said that, I think it's good to go. And with the shuttle stop at Aija, at Ahinsan, I don't know whether you were listening to me when I mentioned the case of we easing up the vehicular movement on campus. And that mentioned the fact that even when cars get to Ahinsan, we're not able to take big buses there. If you have gone to Gaza, I think when they were building a shuttle stop at Gaza, maybe the students at that time felt it was a misplaced priority. But years forward, we now have buses going to Gaza because there is a space big enough for them to negotiate a curve. In similar fashion, maybe students of today think that it is not good for us to build a shuttle stop there. But maybe in a year or two to come, where we have a lot of hostels which have sprung up there and more springing up, and we have a number of our students going there, and we realize shuttles can now turn, we have a different conversation. One thing I've always said is that no matter how good your policy is, in the present time, people have reasons to doubt it. I mean, I've always liked politics. I remember when Kopo struck gold in his time. No, he was able to strike oil. People at the other side said, "Oh, it is not oil. It's another thing." I remember when they brought about national health insurance. People said it wasn't good. Even free SHS, people spoke about it. But let posterity judge. So it is something I have brought up. And I mean, a prophet is not always praised in his hometown. Maybe somebody will say it's not good, but posterity will judge. But notwithstanding, let me talk about security. I came to meet my predecessor, leaving an amount of money there for us to procure a vehicle. The amount wasn't enough. As an SRC, I can speak and I can tell students on authority that we've added more than 200,000 Ghana cedis to it to get a new van. I had a conversation with the police commander for Tech area. His name is Commander Hammond. Those who know him knows what I'm talking about. And according to statistics, we realized that, you see, we have this big pickup, a single cabin pickup where police officials are able to sit behind. About 8 to 10 police officers are able to sit behind. And according to research, when that particular pickup was procured and it was deployed on the Iduasi stretch of the road of the school, the number of theft cases at that end of the school has reduced drastically. One, by virtue of increasing the street lights at Iduasi, and then two, with that particular vehicular movement. So we are also having plans of ensuring that we do same for the Bomso stretch, because according to research, if a case happens at Bomso, and then you call the car, which is actually now stationed at Iduasi, by the time the car gets to Bomso, something would have happened. So now the conversation is that we want to also get one for the Bomso end of the school. You can ask my financial secretary, you can ask the director of student affairs. This is the public conversation. I won't lie, it's true. You can ask the accounts officer, you guys, you have connection, go and ask him. We have signed, and then the procurement process has begun to ensure that we get another vehicle similar to the single cabin pickup that you usually see around plying the routes in the Iduasi and Kuti. You have another one at Bomso, so that we can track these bad elements within our system to ensure that things become better. And with the issue of school fees increase, we communicated earlier that we've been able to get a 20% reduction in the increase of school fees. You see, this is the point. We had the prime school fees rate there. So let's assume I pay 1,000 Ghana cedis last year. And by virtue of the increase in school fees, my fees was increased to about 1,500. Our bargain was to get a 20% increase in the additional 500 Ghana cedis, not the whole school fees value. Because you see, if we are to get a 20% increase in the whole school fees value, then we will even end up decreasing the school fees even more than the amount that was increased. No, but more than even the original amount. Personally, my school fees went up by only 15%. Social science, our school fees went up by 15%. The main cause of the school fees increase was those who were reading other programs that usually go for field trip and then they do practicals. So we have the section C. So that was the main problem with the school fees. Others was within the range of parliament. So the ones were able to have conversations. So let's assume my school fees is 1,000 and it goes to 1,002. It's now 1,002 Ghana cedis. 20% of 1,002 Ghana cedis, it's more than 200 cedis. It means if you are to reduce the whole quantum by 20%, then it becomes even lesser than the previous price. So the conversation was to have a 20% reduction in the new value that has been added to the old value. And that was what we were able to bargain for. And the issue of network, the Vodafone network, those who followed the special congregation this year, I think somewhere in March or April, the Vice Chancellor actually mentioned that the school has been able to secure a grant of 30 million Ghana cedis from MasterCard. Those who are on campus will realize that they are always digging new trenches and fiber optics are being laid year in, year out. According to the director of UITS, the main problem with the Vodafone and all other networks on campus has to do with the issue of bandwidth and the fact that the university has increased, but we made a mistake not to have progressively increased our supply of data and bandwidth and the infrastructure of internet on campus. So now our number is overwhelming the internet infrastructure we have in Kenya University. According to the UITS director, he said that the current infrastructure we have was built for 40,000 students. That was during the time of Professor Otuelis as Vice Chancellor, I think about 7-8 years ago. Now our numbers have doubled. We have more than 87,000 regular students. We have IDL students. We have Obuasi students and all that. So we should have doubled it. So what is happening right now is that we are having our population overwhelming the internet infrastructure in the school. So let me be honest with you. It's not a 9-day wonder whereby we can just stand up and take machete. The director will tell the Frank, no matter what, we have to build it. So we have, and those who are at report, and I think Queens will realize that when we came back from home, they have done a rewiring of the Wi-Fi on campus. I don't know whether you guys will agree with me. Those who are at Queens, you can say same. Even Kunti can say same. They have brought new routers, and then they have done a new rewiring of the internet connectivity. And if you are taking the route from Unity Hall to Republic Hall, you realize that they've been able to dig some trenches and they are laying fiber optics. The point is that the issue of internet connectivity is the issue of infrastructure, and they need time to build it. So I think the deputy director for UITS in charge of hardware, Frank, it will take about 6 months. That conversation was had about 4 months ago. So it's possible by the time we return from vacation next semester, those of you who will be on school, you will enjoy the best. As a matter of fact, the Pro VC told me that, Frank, looking at the investment that we have, we can be able to even store some for the future. That is why we are now bringing Wi-Fi off campus. Those who have been following me will realize that I actually posted on Twitter that we are done with the conversation and all that. Because as it stands now, okay, so now let me show you. If you go to Ultimate Hostel, we have built 8 stations off campus. Ultimate Hostel, Kentin Chrono, Ivandi Hostel, one at Shalom area. These are Wi-Fi plants to ensure that they extend Wi-Fi to off campus. But now the conversation is that because even the one on campus is small, the bandwidth is small. If people are to connect, you can't even download a 1 megabyte something. So they are now waiting for us to finish the infrastructure on campus. I think triple, but according to the ProBC, looking at the amount you are going to add to it by next academic year, it will even be triple, so it will be very fast. So if you're able to increase the bandwidth and everything, we can now let people connect from off campus. So now, as we speak, they have built the plants and everything. You can ask the director for UIT, if anybody has a relationship with you, you can ask him. You can ask the deputy director, Mr. Abraham. He will confirm this to you. By next semester, we will have Wi-Fi off campus. But as I said, it's not a 9-day wonder thing. We were supposed to have progressively increased the provision of internet services. But because of that mistake, we now have to build this slowly. So by next semester, I'm very confident those of you who will be on campus, you will enjoy your stay here. I think I've been able to answer all. And then, yes, another person mentioned that I began a conversation at Aija, Askoremampon, the affordable housing. As I stated, I think during the question by Hilda, I actually went there to meet the management and they told me that all the rooms there, all the flats there are sold out. All the flats there are sold out. So that is the point right now. So we may not be able to get it. Anybody can go there and confirm. If you go there, go and meet them. The manager is called Nene. He's a gunman, Nene. He's the one I spoke to. I have his contact. He told me that all the rooms there are sold out. So it's not as if I didn't do anything about it or I just presented a rhetoric to you guys. No, I indeed did something, but then the reality is that the rooms there are not available. Sure. Thank you.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm Zuta Michael from Campus Hype Group. Mr. President, I want to know the progress of bringing back the GCRC.
I knew this press conference wouldn't be complete without somebody asking about the JCRS. That's fine. That's fine.
Also,
On one side.
I want the update on the Think It Fund It initiative.
Good. That's fine.
Thank you.
Most grateful. Okay. Another question. Sure. So let me take that one too, and then.
One question.
Okay, Mr. President, I think I'm back again. Okay, so I had a question from someone. He said, Frank, what can you do about the fact that now colleges can no longer organize socialization programs? And also, someone from IDEO says, since you are the president for IDEO, they can't access free health issues at the students' clinic and hospitals. So the fact that when they go there, you see, regular students access the student clinic freely without any charges or without any payments. But IDEO students can't access the student clinic without paying anything or something else. And hold on. Okay. Then someone also said the concentration should be centered on accommodation issues. The school through its IGF is capable of constructing halls. What's the point if you keep advancing faculty establishment? Okay, sure. And one last. Can you please touch on how the SRC hostels works? What is the criteria for selecting students for accommodation? And one personal question: how would you rate the administration?
I would like to do administration. That's fine.
Yeah,
Most
sure.
grateful. Okay, sure. So how the SRC hostel works. So I'll start with the SRC hostel. The SRC hostel is built by students. It's owned by students, and we are the ones who own it. You see, we are more than 80,000. The SRC hostel has a capacity of 930. Everyone wants to be on campus. So one of the processes I know we usually take in admitting people into the hostel is that you have to apply for it. And then students are randomly picked into the hostel because there is no preferential treatment. The only condition we set is the fact that if you have slept there before, then you get an opportunity to sleep there again becomes quite slim because it belongs to all of us. So we should be able to find ways and means of ensuring that everybody has a bite of what I will call the national cake. So that is the main condition for students to apply. Basically that. So students apply when the link is open, and then you apply. When you apply randomly, the SRC hall master together with the management to look through and then admit people into the SRC hostel. With the idea conversation is something that's quite new to me. I'll mention it to the director of student affairs tomorrow when I meet him, and I'll see whether I can pick up a conversation with the director for IDL, Prof. Ado, because you are students of Kenya University. I honestly haven't taken a look at your school fees bill. I think with the on-campus students and the regular students, we are able to access these facilities for free because we pay an amount of our school fees to take care of it. I haven't seen the breakdown of IDL. So I wouldn't want to jump at your defense, or I wouldn't want to also speak against the health facility for not accepting your cards. But if you look at the undergrad students, we pay for the hospital services. So I will check that off IDL and see. So if I realize that there is an amount of money you pay, then you are entitled to it. We will start the conversation and make sure that you receive what you are paying for. With the JCRC, we have done all that we are supposed to do. I remember when I came into office, a lot of people told me so many things to do. Some said, oh, go on demonstration, sit down, strike, do anything. But then I felt that you don't add salt to injury. And that in the world of intellectual prowess, you should be able to find ways and means of getting your way through and solving a problem without creating another one. As it stands now, we've been to council. Council referred the issue to executive committee. We went to defend the case at the executive committee. We were given a pass. The case was defended at academic board. Academic board had given us their blessings. We are now waiting for the university council. We have a meeting very soon. I wouldn't want to mention when. Otherwise, a day to the meeting, I'll be getting a lot of messages in my DM. So I want it to be a surprise. The meeting is very soon as you can think about. And I'm very confident that after that meeting, the JCRC will be brought back. I promised students of Kenya University when I was being sworn in that I will lead Kenya University to war once again. And I remember my big brother, or my brother Padmo tweeted that Franco says he will lead Kenya University to war. I actually had problems with that because people, hey, you're coming to take us to demonstration. I said, no, the new frontiers of our warfare wouldn't be stones or sticks or insults, but we are going to use the intellectual ability to be able to advance our case. And I want to state that we are almost successful. We've waited all this while. Let's wait a little while, and then I know we are going to hear good news. What will in Thursday? We are having the final pitch for the Think It's Funded initiative. I mean, it's one initiative that is very dear to my heart because we are all in school with a view of ensuring that when we are done with school, we'll be able to get something out and then get something to work, somewhere to work. The Think It's Funded is something that I believe that we'll be able to raise entrepreneurs who in turn they are also going to employ people. And we are going to contribute to the issue of reducing drastically the unemployed graduates in our nation. So on Thursday, we are having the final pitch. And after that, we are going to be disbursing funds to help students, funds to the tune of more than 200,000 Ghana cedis. And I think it's something that we should be proud of as an SRC. I also want to add that as an SRC, we have been able to have conversations with management, a long one for that matter, and we have been successful in ensuring that we will begin the SRC Hostel and Nest project. As it stands now, the current SRC has a capacity of around 930. We want to build an annex which will have a capacity of more than 300 students to be accommodated. And as you have been following on social media, you realize that the university is also having plans of building a 2,000 capacity hostel facility to accommodate students as well. So this is not a campaign promise. I mean, the pictures are there. I'll give you the publicity here to share them with you. I'm talking about the SRC and Next project. So everything has been done, the prototype, the measurements, the quantities, everything is done. We're just waiting for school to go down so that when school goes down, we'll begin the construction works for the SRC and Next project. So it's something that I think we've been able to do, and we deserve some accolades for that. Yeah, so far, I don't know whether there is any other questions for me.
Mr. President, I'm back again.
You're welcome.
Yes, there are some questions going around, but the student populace would like to ask, what are you doing about the mental health awareness program that has been set up? A lot of students are going through a lot of things. Even me standing here, I'm going through a lot of things. So, what are you doing about it? What are the initiatives? You see, we get the numbers of the counselors, the student counselors. We call, and then sometimes they just tell you, oh, drink water, oh, get enough sleep, oh, don't stress yourself too much. These are all stress-related issues. But what we need someone to talk to. We need people who are willing to listen to us. What are you doing about that?
Wow, amazing. Okay, thank you very much for this question. You see, I mean, I've always stated that I even have problems with sometimes some of the communiques we send out. Are you depressed? Are you having problems? Talk to somebody. The question is, should you even wait for somebody to be depressed before we start the conversation around counseling and depression and stress and all that? I think we should be able to put in place preventive measures that will prevent people from even getting to a particular state even to begin with. But then I want to state that as an SRC, we don't work isolatedly. We work with the systems and structures established in the university. So we are the leader of students, and the Vice Chancellor is the leader of management and lecturers and all that. As an SRC, we've had a very nice structure that is a peer counseling, because we live in a society whereby some people are even shy to speak to their parents and all that. So we encourage that we speak to our friends. We have the peer counselors, and then if you speak to the president of the peer counselors, he will tell you that any support that he requires from the SRC, we give to them. The SRC, we are the ones who own Focus FM. I mean, we literally pay for the run of Focus FM. And then whenever the need be, that we provide slots and avenue for us to have conversations around mental health and depression and emotion and social problems, definitely we allow all these things to go on. And then on the part of management too, they are doing their bit. I know that what students are really praying for is that we'll be able to bring back the social life, which I believe strongly it goes a long way to remove the stress that we go through as students. There's a quotation in the Bible, I think Lamentations chapter 3, verse 5, that our forefathers committed sins and we are now the ones who are bearing the consequences. We didn't get here in vain. It was by virtue of some mistakes some people did. But then I can assure you that hopefully, if the SRC, if the JCRC, when it was being taken away, went together with a lot of the problems we are facing today, then one thing I'm saying is that if the HRC is coming back, it will come back with all its friends and brothers. So I know these times are rough, these times are hard. But as an SRC, we are working behind the scenes to ensure that we will bring back the good and quality student life that we used to have at first. And I also want to state, I think somebody asked a question that I made a mistake. I omitted to answer. Somebody asked about colleges organizing social events. I want to state emphatically that there is no ban on social events being organized by colleges. There is no document to that effect. There is no ruling to that effect. Students are allowed to organize programs at the college levels. According to the Green Sheet that was released by the Executive Committee and the University Council, the main problem had to do with the JCRC and then the SRC organizing the SRC week and hall weeks. But college weeks was not mentioned in it. Faculty week was not mentioned in it. So if you want to organize a social program as a college or as a faculty, we are still allowed to do it. Because as I stand here as an SRC president, there is no document to that effect preventing students from organizing programs at the college, department, or faculty level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So, we want to take a glance at a few things. So, remember that on 20th August 2022, Mr. Frank Ozo, our KNUCS president, tweeted that as part of his policy, we have the experimental transcript. So, I would want to read the thread that he gave us. He says that high time we give the public into learning experiences that happens outside the classroom. Just the same way we're giving academic transcripts to validate the academic records in the university. We can do things with the many and gallery experiences we pick up outside the classroom. The student experimental transcript will track and record experiences done by students to allow their easy appraisal. How better they is there to know or graduate aside them to just learn about what they do outside the classroom. Every student will have a chance to this. So what the student populace are asking is that how far would this experimental transcript initiative? Thank you.
Most grateful. Usually when I come to the university, you as a president or as an SRC president are not allowed or you're not given the freedom or a free range to whimsically do or undo policies. Whatever thing you want to do, it goes through a process. Usually, whenever it has to do with academics, it goes to academic board. I want to state that this is the conversation we're having to ensure that we get these things done. Sometimes you can even begin something as president, but it might not come into fruition during your time. But it doesn't mean you didn't begin it. You started it. So it's a conversation I've started, and I'm very confident in me that even if I'm not able to see it becoming a reality today, most management members and senior lecturers, they've seen wisdom in it, and one day we will see it becoming a reality. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening, Padmo.
I hope you are doing well. Thank God.
They say they can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I'm coming. I have questions from some people that I would want to ask. But before that, I want to ask that after your elections, have you been to Obuasi campus?
I haven't been to Obuasi campus.
You haven't been to Obuasi
Yes.
campus. That's nice. Coming. Give me a minute, please. Okay, so my first question is, do you think, as president, Obuasi SRC should be made fully autonomous, since the Kumasi SRC does not assist them in any way? That's my first question. Then there is a follow-up. And then may you also clarify the reason why there wasn't any financial assistance to Obuasi, while you know they lack a lot of infrastructure and are more incapacitated in terms of funds?
Thank you. I've always had this principle. I don't know, is that all, or you have more questions?
Like, I want to be with you. So
Oh, really? I wish you ask for the questions and then I tackle all of them.
okay. And then the second question is, how do you respond to the lamentation of the Obuasi students for their alienation in the Think It Fund It initiative? I don't know if you got me right.
Okay.
And then the third question is, Obuasi students have lost interest in main campus SRC elections because there is no support for them after they voted for you. What's your response to that?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, was grateful. I am so happy for this question that you are asking. With the autonomy of Obuasi SRC, I want to state that it has a legal and a financial implication. And in my capacity as SRC president, I don't have that capacity to unilaterally decide as to whether or not Obuasi should be autonomous as an SRC. Because you see, in the university, even GRASAC is a member of the SRC Parliamentary Council. IDL, which is bigger in size and bigger in terms of numbers, they are still part of the SRC. So the Obuasi, which is smaller, feels it's a conversation that I cannot confirm. But I think that we are stronger when we are together. And then the issue of one thing I want to also state is this: in terms of finance, and I want all those listening to me to listen good. You see, as an SRC, we receive dues from the students, and every student body in Kenya University receives dues. The colleges receive dues, the halls receive dues, the GRASAC receive dues, and even NUCs. Sometimes I joke with my NUCs president that, you see, NUCs presidents receive a lot of money, but then when problems come, people don't even remember we have NUCs. Everything is the SRC. And you see, I want to state that as an SRC, our dues has been stagnant for about 10 years now. If you go to UNE, they pay SRC dues to the tune of 250 Ghana cedis. Here in University, we pay 37 Ghana cedis. And you realize that our SRC has grown so much, such that if you come into office, no matter the amount you are given, even before you start your administration, there are so many things that are taken away from the system because of some levies we have levied and some laws we have set for ourselves. So 5% goes to this place, this goes to that place, and all that. Before you realize the amount of money left with you to be able to organize programs and do projects is quite small. I've always stated that unless we get sponsorship, even as an SRC, it will become difficult for us to even be able to organize a top-notch artist night. So just like how GRASAC is giving dues, every organ under the SRC Parliamentary Council, they are giving dues. But then in your discretion as an SRC, you decide as to whether or not to give funds to help in the activities of some of the bodies under you, especially when you have a lot to spare. Now, as an SRC, we promise to give sectors of the SRC some funds, but then we've had conversations with them because of some of the problems we have been facing. For the past 2 years, every student is supposed to pay some amount of money called the SRC Development Levy, which ran to the tune of about 54 Ghana cedis. All these past years, students of Obuasi were not given the SRC development levy, which is more than the SRC dues. The SRC dues is 37 Ghana cedis. The development levy is more than 50 Ghana cedis. So all those years, all those money will come to the main SRC, and then we decide. And then sometimes some SRC will decide to maybe build, renovate an office for you, or do something, maybe buy a laptop for you, and then you are good to go. Listen to me carefully. So a president comes and then he feels like, okay, let me buy these chairs and then these machines for you and all that. And then if you look at the quantity, the amount of money, and they take it out of the SRC development levy, you realize there is a lot of money in Kumasi. So when I came into office as president, I said, oh, this is not sustainable because the SRC development levy that we all pay, Obuasi students to pay it. But then when we are giving them their dues, we only give them their SRC dues, not the development levy. Listen to me carefully. So it happens to be the case that you own something that belongs to somebody. And then because the person is hungry, you take part of the person's money and you buy food for the person, and then you expect the person to praise you. So that has been the practice down the years. I come into office and I said, this is not sustainable. So Obuasi writes to me that, Frank, give us money just like how the previous people are giving us money. I said, I think the better way is for us to fight for the bigger money somewhere that you don't have, so that you can be able to do monumental projects for yourself. So therefore, this year, for the first time in the history of 4 years stay of Obuasi, we have given them their SRC development levy. That is why you see the sitting area we are seeing on social media. The SRC dues of Obuasi couldn't be able to do it. We are using the SRC development levy. And I want people to read my lips to do it. This is a sustainable thing. So it's like you begging for something that belongs to you, and I saying that, no, you deserve more, so I wouldn't give what you are begging, but rather I will give you what you deserve. So instead of, because the point is that you take all your dues from Kumasi SRC. You don't give us parts. If your money was to be with us, and if I sign your budget, then you would have had claims on our dues. But because I don't sign your budget, I felt, okay, you keep your dues. But then you have some money somewhere which is even bigger than your dues. Let us take all those monies, give it to you, and do a monumental project that will help posterity. But you see, when the conversation doesn't go out well for people to understand, they tend to feel that we have shortchanged students of Obuasi. I leave it to my listeners, and I leave it to the good students of Kenya University to judge whether listening to what I've told you. So you can ask the leadership of Obuasi whether they are using the SRC dues or the SRC development levy. And then 2, ask all past presidents of Obuasi whether they ever had the SRC development levy. The rest is left for posterity to judge. So upon saying this, I think Mr. Padmore and all the media houses here will agree with me that we haven't eliminated Obuasi. We have done more for Obuasi more than anybody. You see, I've always wanted to go to Obuasi, but you see, the timing has always been a problem. And whenever I'm not able to go, I make people go. You can ask. At a time, I give SRC car for Mod, Comfort, JC. They went for the orientation. They've been there twice, all in my name. So yes, presidents also have a different conversation. But what I want to state emphatically for students of Obuasi to understand is that we all put in the word and joined the conversation when the clarion call was made for us to give you your dues, your development levy. So the development levy, which is bigger than the SRC levy, has been given to students of Obuasi during the tenure of Frank Owusu. So if this is not enough, then I'll leave everything to posterity. Thank you.
Last question. He said if you lost interest.
Also, so he's asking a question that Obuasi said they've lost interest in the KUST SRC. I will plead with them not to lose interest in the KUST SRC, because when the plea was made that we give Obuasi their development levy, if the main SRC had not signed to it, it wouldn't have been given to you guys. So I don't know the mindset you have about the main campus. But I see, if you are a small organization, a small body, you are under a bigger umbrella, you will try to dissociate yourself. You are opening yourself up for problems. So just like a hen and its chicks, if a chick decides to leave the hen and then there is a hawk coming, the hawk can easily pick up the hen, the chick. But whenever the chick is close to the mother will be able to cover it. Yes, you may not have seen a physical project in the name of Kumasi SRC, but what Kumasi SRC 2023 has done for you may be bigger than whatever any other SRC has done for you this year. So don't lose hope. We're all part of the conversation to give you back your development levy, which we felt that it is justice well served, because you can't pay the development levy for us and then we use it and don't get anything. So you're an Obuasi. Let's give you your money so that you can be able to use your money for your own activities.
Yeah, sure. Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Someone is saying that out of 2,770 cedis of his school fees, he's owing 340 cedis, yet you cannot access his results. So what is happening? And then the second one, he said the SRC pays for the operation of Focus FM, but we are not seeing them here. So what is happening?
I don't know, maybe something hindered them from coming. You may never tell the schedule of somebody. Yes. And somebody's also mentioned that weekends, sometimes they are not able to come around. Yes, with the issue of the fees, let me share one of my biggest problems. Those who have been in this school for, I think, 4 years, you realize that every single year, school fees becomes a topical issue. So when I came in first year, I remember those were the years where students were sacked during examination periods. We had their names pasted for the amount of money they owed. Even as low as 1 Ghana cedi, we pasted their names. At a point, students were deferred for not paying school fees. At a point, students were sacked from examination halls for not paying school fees. I think this year we've had a free ride in terms of our school fees. No deferment, no sacking, no prevention of writing exams, no pasting of names. I had a meeting with the Vice Chancellor, and Mami was telling me that, Frank, by virtue of your advocacy and by conversation that we've had here, we have given your people a free range. Now, students owe to the tune of 54 million Ghana cedis. How do we get the money to run the school? Students want us to be able to fuel shuttle for them every day. But then we use this money to run the school. If you go in the morning and then the washrooms are not cleaned, you will come and fight. So now they are asking me that after you lobbying and having conversations with us at academic board and council and executive committee, we listened to you and we didn't sack any students. We didn't defer any students. We didn't sack any student from writing exams. First semester, mid-sem, end of sem. Second semester, mid-sem. 2 weeks to end of sem. We haven't sacked students. No, now tell us, what should we do to get our money? We owe, now I'm telling students, we owe to the tune of 54 million Ghana cedis. We need to buy fuel. We need to do a lot of things. How do we get the money? So I even think that blocking students' results is even one of the least things they can do. I'm begging students, if you have the money, and if you have the means, please pay. Please pay, because now I don't know what to say again, because sometimes the Vice Chancellor will tell you, we need money to run the school. Everything you see around you is money. Everything you see around us is money. So, Kwaku, what do we do? And I tell Mami, wait, I'll come and tell you what we should do. So today, students, I'm telling you, we owe 54 million Ghana cedis. How do we get money to pay? It's a question to the goal. So I'll be very glad if you give me suggestions. So blocking the students' result, I think, is one of the least things they could have done to us. But if you have a way of advocating, because all the things they used to do, the SRC students that this year we are begging, they shouldn't do. And all the ways, because I remember those days when they used to defer students. They were in a haste to find ways and means to pay. No students were deferred, no students were stuck from exams and all that. So we don't know. It's 2 weeks, and I'm only praying that even this year, no student will be stuck doing exams, because we've exhausted all the probation period that was given us, all the mercy shown us, we've exhausted it. So, and in 2 weeks' time, we're writing end of term. So please, let's try and see how best we can get the school fees paid. Sure. Thank you. Yeah, somebody is telling me to read my administration. I think I wouldn't be the best person to read my administration. Yes, I just want to say this. When I came to office, I came to meet problems. But I told my appointees Monday that we are here to run an administration, not to manage a PR firm. And those who have been very ardent followers of me on Twitter and all my social media handles, you realize that I gave my people a strong warning. If people insult me, don't insult them back. If people malign me, don't malign them back. If people lie about me, don't lie about them back, because they gave me a privilege of a lifetime to lead them. And you take the good with the bad. When I'm walking around and people call me Presido, my hair swells. So if they insult me that I'm a toothless bulldog, I have to take it like that. I've always said that my point has always been to solve problems without creating more problems. So if I'm doing something and I'm not sure about what I'm doing, I wouldn't come out to say it, because it might end up destroying the whole thing. Because there's a saying that haste makes waste. Haste. To be in a haste, sometimes you end up wasting it. So carefully look at how you are doing things and make sure you solve it once and for all. When the school fee hikes came, people were saying, do this. I was quiet. I solved it. When Vodafone Monday I was quiet. I solved it. When students were deferred, I said, I will make sure students, and then students, now you go to College of Science and virtually everybody will have been allowed to register. Go to HESA, all the colleges. I think it is left with a little bit in Kanasa. Even with that, we are trying to make sure that we'll be able to remediate. That is my style. I don't run to the media to blow my trumpet. I remember when the JCRC case came, people were saying so many things. I said, I know how to go about it. Because I remember in 2018, those days I was a secretary in Casford. I was a younger boy there. And I remember Kenyan students were agitating. And during the strike, we were calling for some of the things to be done. End student brutality, bring back Katanga and Konti and make us single-sex halls and all that. But then after the demonstration, anybody who is a student of history will understand that most of the things we were requesting for, we didn't get them. Did we get a horse? We didn't get the horse being single. We fought, and what happened is that we stayed home for 6 months. School fees was increased by 700 cedis because we had to replace them. We ended up losing a lot of freedom in the student front, because at first we used to have the colleges owning their own accounts. All our accounts were consolidated. And then the process of administering student leadership became tighter and stricter. So as a student of history, I know that after the strike of 2018, we have lost power. So coming to the negotiation table and being a leader in these times, I'm faced with 2 options. To listen to what, sometimes I sometimes read tweets and I begin to smile. Every single thing somebody will tell you, let's go on demonstration. Really? 21st century, let's go on demonstration? You are done with school. You want us to go on demonstration, and then we get a bad name and all that. I remember when I came into office, let me say this. I decided to connect with the KNUST students, old students who are on the media. I went to Sumpa. Atapoku will agree to me. I went to Atapoku. I went to Omahini Adubuache. I spoke to Kwame Dinka and all these big people. And they told me something that actually rewired my thinking. In 2018, they said, we thought that KNUST students were fighting a just cause, so we supported you. And we spoke against management. But then after that, 2021, you were having a harmless vetting only for you to destroy the great hall that we cherish so much. You drag the name of the school in the mud for all the bad reasons. if it wasn't enough, the following year, you are having a whole festival that all of us will have enjoyed, only for you to fight again and drag the name of KNUST in the mud again. So we are now even thinking that we following you in 2018, it was a mistake. You weren't the ones who were the victims. So the sympathy we had, the mileage we had in the media has reduced. And if you want to be able to agitate, you need media backing. We don't have the media traction now. The mindset of people about KNUST students have changed now. So when I sometimes I read tweets and then I read people telling me I smile. But one thing is that he who laughs last laughs the best. And I know we will take the last dance. For that, there is no two ways about it. I know we will take the last dance. And just like how we were all sad when the JCRC was taken for us, we will be happy after we obtained the JCRC. I just came as a servant to serve the student front. I came to build bridges. I came to bring back confidence. The bridges have been built, but the confidence is left to the student front. But I know that whenever and wherever I was called to stand and speak for students, I did so passionately, and I placed the interest and the welfare of the ordinary students above and beyond my own students. The SRC is a journey, and I believe that we will continue this journey and make posterity proud. Until then, please let's continue to stay strong. This is Kenya University, and here is hallowed ground. Yeah, I think